and ferenbach. Okay. As it may become obvious, I am in fact a scientist as well as a comedian. You can take the scientist out to the lab, but not the lab out to the scientist. Okay, so let me begin. So, amongst my many hobbies, I love free things. They are the greatest thing in the whole wide world. The best price is free 99, and I'm a sucker for them. And you think to yourself, wait a minute, all these companies giving away all these lovely, shiny, free things, however do they finance such generosity? The answer is, they flog your details to every data monger in the zoo. Every ambulance chaser, every Yahoo gets your data because you want to win a brand new iPad or something. And yes, these things I do extensively on a grand scale. And so this causes a problem that sure enough, I get lots and lots and lots of nuisance phone calls. And I'm from Scotland, as you can tell from my outrageous accent. And because my mother considers WhatsApp some kind of voodoo, I still have to keep my UK number. And so my telephone has 2 phone numbers, still my UK one. So all these ambulance chasers still keep calling me. And a few years back, there was an evil kind of insurance called payment protection, which if you haven't heard of it, you're lucky. It was so utterly demented that it was designed only to pay out if your upstairs bathroom was destroyed by a zebra called Nigel. Any other circumstance, and it just wouldn't pay out. And the point was, companies suddenly sprang up out of the woodwork that would claim back this evil insurance. And it was so evil, people had it hidden inside terms and conditions. So even if you didn't think you had it, did. And so they wouldn't take no for an answer. You would get these phone calls. Hi there, this is claims for you. We'd like to claim back your payment protection insurance. And if you say, no, I don't have it, they go, are you sure? I think it was hidden inside your terms and conditions. And so I got a lot of these phone calls, and I mean a lot. And I would try every tactic. I tried the no. I tried the I'm very certain. And then I tried pretending to be a forensic accountant and said that yes, I'd gone over my own books in triplicate, and sure enough, I never had it. They were like, are you sure? What is wrong with you people? I tried phony accents. I tried being a southern gentleman. I do declare I have never in my entire life taken this kind of insurance you're speaking of. Nope, they still go, are you sure, sir? But their calls would always be preceded by a funny little whoop noise that would be clearly their thing connecting them to the next person with the headset. So this for me was a sign to get ready. I mean, after all, all you need is love and all that. So the one thing they don't expect is a romantic serenade. So the next time my phone rang with a weird looking number, and then I pick it up and I hear whoop, before they have a chance to open their mouth, I go, the minute you walked in the joint, I could tell you were a man of distinction, a real big spender, good looking, so refined. They hung up before I reached the chorus. I mean, how rude is that? But yes, after that, I think I might have got flagged because sure enough, my calls from them dropped off quite dramatically. And I wish I could say it was only these evil payment protection insurance types that were harassing me, but no, there were many, many others. And it's not even limited to phone calls. I mean, I don't know if you guys use Telegram, which is kind of like WhatsApp, but called Telegram. And basically, for some reason also, these ambulance chasers called my Telegram number. And so I would get all these nonsense texts going like, hi there, this is Adecco. We've got an amazing job for you. You get paid £30 an hour. It's like, pounds? Does he know what country I'm in? And so once again I decided, let's change tactics. Let's, the serenade, that was so 5 minutes ago. So for those of you who haven't seen Star Trek The Next Generation, if you haven't, you should. There's an episode where there's a race called the Tamarians who only speak in metaphor. And yes, of course, lots of mayhem results from them saying metaphorical things instead of words. And so, when I received this, hi there, this is Adecco, we'd like to offer you a £30 an hour job for data, I answered, Temba, his arms wide, which means a gift. Of course, they didn't know that. And silence on the other end. So then I went on to say shaka when the walls fell, which means disaster or misfortune. It was only at that point they were like, what? How on earth did you get my number? And I didn't want to break character, so I stuck with it. And so in Tamarian I said, Gramble, his throat slipped by his mistress, which means clumsiness or carelessness. But they clearly didn't bother to Google that, so they got rather vocal and used some rather impolite words. And so I thought they might not be, in fact, from a deco. But, hey, at least I got my giggle and I shared it on a Star Trek forum, and trust me, big laughs. If you haven't seen the episode, you should. Anyway, but the fun didn't even stop there, because also I got lots of these ambulance-chasing phone calls from companies that believed I'd been in a vehicular accident. And so, pardon me. Thank you. Your good health. Point is, they once again wouldn't take no for an answer. I said, no, I don't drive. I don't own a car. Then, once again, it was like, are you sure? Were you a passenger in a car? It's like, no. So then I started getting creative. I said, well, actually, the phone I'm answering on is solar powered. I grow my own wheat, and I made a bicycle out of bamboo, and I don't use electricity. I live a pastoral existence. And like, so are you a passenger in a car? It's like, which part of pastoral existence do you not get? And so, once again, I thought, break out the big guns, and like the great philosopher Garfield said, if you can't beat them, confuse them. And so, the next time I got a fateful phone call from horribleinjuryclaims.com, I said, oh, thank goodness you called. They should have been suspicious at that, because who's happy to hear from them? But they said, oh yeah, so how can we help? I said, well, I was actually in an accident in my van. I was driving on the way to a competition. I mean, this was detailed, so they grabbed a hold of that and they said, and also I didn't warn my colleagues in Aarhus that this was what was going on, so they only heard my side of the conversation, so keep that in mind. So I said, yes, I was in a van driving to a competition, and someone hit me from the side and damaged my precious van. And they're like, oh, this is good. Okay, but what happened? I said, well, I was driving with my prize-winning show ferret, Mr. Miffles, on a way to a contest. And in the accident, Mr. Miffles' cage was catapulted across the van, and he strained his front paw. As a result, he only took the silver medal. Can I sue for loss of earnings? And astonishingly, they clearly didn't care about no stinking ferrets, because they're like, well, okay, your ferret, Mr. Miffles, was injured, at least they used his name, but were you hurt? And so, with no warning to my colleague at all, I said, well, actually, as a matter of fact, while I was operating my van, I was in fact naked. And so, when the accident took place, Mr. Miffles was catapulted across the cabin, his cage flew open, and he bit me on a rather significant portion of myself. And only at that point did they say, well, sir, I think we should probably phone you back, and didn't. Oh, thank goodness. I mean, it was only at that point that they felt I was crossing a line. And I know what you're thinking. What if these scoundrels were to ever phone back? But trust me, I have, even though I'm wearing a t-shirt, I have another trick up my sleeve. So in the event of them taking the trip into the Twilight Zone once more with Mr. Miffles in the van, I would add, well, I did suffer loss of income because, as a matter of fact, clearly it's not a video call, I am a highly successful OnlyFans producer. And amazingly, my subscribers are deeply turned off by band-aids all over my trouser tighten. So can I sue for loss of income? So that would be the kind of stuff I'm bringing to them, if they dare to phone back, which so far, cross fingers, they haven't. But I'm still getting weird job offers, and I'm still answering them in Tamarian. And you guys have been wonderful. Thank you.
Round of applause for Andrew. All right.